If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast, presented, of course, by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman. You know this. 5 teams, 7 years. Love this podcast. Had an unbelievable week again. So I am very, very happy. Please follow me at Ross Tucker NFL on social media. I'm giving away free Madden codes. You just got to follow me at Ross Tucker NFL or follow at Ross Tucker Pod. And that could be Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever. The star of this show is Steve Fezzik, and he's back. Love it. At Fezzik Sports and only at Fezzik Sports. How you feeling there, Steve?
I am at 70%, which is a 60% improvement. Actually, it's a 700% improvement over where I was last week.
Wow, that doesn't sound real good. Let's dive into it, Steve. Thankfully, even though you were very sick last week, you did send in your bets. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's because you had to send the bets in early or if it's because you were sick. You finished the week down 6, Steve. I finished the week up 10. So for the year to date, I am now up 37 units. You are up 1.5 units. The good news is we were 1-0 on our best bets, which makes us 21 wins, 14 losses on our best bets. We have a 60% strike rate going on our best bets, and I'm having a terrific year. I just am. Let's start with Thursday night. It was Niners-Seahawks. You took the Seahawks getting 3.5, Steve. That was not even a competitive game.
It was not, and I thought the rookie going on the road, very loud crowd, would finally expose him, and certainly Mr. Irrelevant is looking like the real deal, and the Niners are looking like a real contender.
Colts, Vikings Saturday, the first game I called in week 15, and Ravens, Browns on Saturday afternoon. I leaned purple. I leaned Vikings. I leaned Ravens. Thankfully, it was only a lean. Both those teams failed to cover. Dolphins, Bills. Now, I don't know what you would have said to me, Steve, if you were on the show last week. But here's what I did. I paired the Bills as a teaser leg with the Packers, just like you did, and put 2 units on it. That teaser obviously hit. So 2 units for you, 2 units for me, our only best bet this week. But then I also took the Dolphins getting the 7.5, and it hit, Steve. I middled it. I doubled up. 2 units Dolphins. Would you have told me that was stupid mathematically?
No, it's perfectly fine. So Stanford won. Let's talk 30 seconds about teasers. First off, 6-point teaser, minus 120 is the maximum you can lay. I don't care how good you are. If you're laying more than minus 120, and some books charge more, you won't win. So don't play them. But the key here to playing a teaser is not because you expect the minus 7.5 to cover. It's because you expect the minus 1.5 to cover, because teams win so often by 3, 4, 6, and 7, and you're capturing all those key numbers. That's why we only tease when we go through the corridor of 3 through 7. It can be perfectly fine to take the dog plus 7.5 and lay the favorite down to minus 1.5.
That was a masterclass, Steve. And speaking of masterpieces, how about Masterworks? They let you invest in fine art from legends like Picasso and Banksy. No fine art from Fezzik, but I love diversifying. I love whether it's like my media jobs or investments. You never really know. You need a hedge on all this stuff that's happening. Stocks and bonds have not been good. Mortgage rates through the roof. Bloomberg has a 100% chance of a recession next year. Masterworks actually has so much demand that they're now adding at least a painting every week. Paintings have sold out in literal minutes, but they're giving you access at masterworks.com. Use promo code MONEY. That's promo code MONEY at masterworks.com for priority access. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.com/CD. Eagles, Bears, Steve. I had the Eagles in a teaser leg from -8.5 down to -2.5. I paired them with the Steelers against Carolina from +2 up to +8. I love my Keystone State teasers, and they both were able to come through. Wasn't easy for the Eagles, but they got it done. Chiefs, Texans, neither one had anything. Cowboys, Jags. Wasn't looking good for a while, Steve. I had the Jags getting 4.5. They end up winning outright in overtime.
Jags over 500 yards of offense. Cowboys under 400 yards. Somewhat of a phony final in that it looked like the Jags were fortunate to win, and they were on the final overtime play. Statistically, they won the game. Should have probably won before overtime.
Lions, Jets. Now, you had 2 units on the Jets, but I think this is obviously, Steve, well before we had any idea that it would be Zach Wilson and Mike White instead of Mike White, correct?
That is correct. You know what? Zach Wilson's my new least favorite player. I hate that guy. I hate him. And I'm not alone. And I'm convinced my bet, not only does my bet win, but I'm convinced, maybe my bet doesn't win as much because I think the line would have gone all the way to Jets -3. And at that point, it would have probably played back some Detroit, and the Jets would have won by 7. Wilson is such a downgrade. Horrible game. Jets defense played well enough, obviously, to win, and the offense let the Jets down.
The stats weren't that bad, Steve.
The eye test and the scoreboard, I think, were more significant there. And obviously coaching, you know what? Might want to hire someone as a game manager to tell you when to call timeout. That's $1 billion corporation. Well, never mind. Just let the coach wing it. It's fine.
Next up, we've got the Steelers Panthers. I already mentioned I had the Steelers teased to +8. They won by 8 outright. You had the under for 2 units, Steve, but the Panthers could not run the ball a lick, not at all. And the over got to 40. So you lost 2 units there.
I shouldn't have lost that either. That was a train wreck. Pittsburgh's running out the clock on 34, and I can give up 1 field goal. A confluence of bad events, 2 long field goals, 1 for each side in the final 80 seconds. Okay, move on.
Falcons, Saints. I put 2 units on the Falcons, getting 4.5. They lost by 3. Patriots, Raiders in one of the all-time games, like ever. We didn't have anything on it. Cardinals, Broncos. Do you realize, Steve, I made a lot of bets last week. I outlaid 14 units. The Cardinals teaser leg is the only one that didn't come through for me. I teased them up to 8.5 with the Titans up to 8.5. And the Cardinals were winning 9-3. Colt McCoy gets hurt. McSorley comes in and was not good. Broncos go up. How about this, Steve? The Cardinals still score a touchdown. Kick the extra point. They're down by 8. Instead, they go for 2. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't know if you saw this 2-point conversion, Steve, where McSorley threw it to DeAndre Hopkins. Literally the worst non-called pass interference I've ever seen. Way worse than the Giants and Commanders. I almost had a perfect week, but the Cardinals let me down.
Yeah, and as far as the math, it is correct to go for 2 down 9. The point is you got to go for 2 at some point regardless. And so you want to do it earlier in the game because you want to know whether you're going to make it or not. And if you fail, that way you can game plan accordingly. Now, those who disagree with what I'm saying would make the case you're more likely to get the 2-point conversion when the defense is more tired later in the game. And there's some merit to that.
Yeah, but you gotta be able to behave the rest of the game, knowing whether or not you got the 2-point conversion. I mean, I think that's the better. Although the Vikings did not do that on Saturday against the Colts. O'Connell decided not to do that. He decided to wait until the end.
Yeah, I far prefer do it earlier. If you know you're going to need the 2-pointer, find out whether you get it or not, and then modify your game plan.
Bengals, Bucks. Wow. I mean, just wow. Neither one of us had. Still, it's a wow. Titans, Chargers. I had the Titans teased up to 8.5. That was a good teaser leg. That's the one that the Cardinals blew. Giants, Commanders. Steve, we don't often go head to head, but we did. You laid the 4.5 with the Commanders, which is not like you. I took the 4.5 with the Giants. They won outright. Your thoughts?
Bad handicap on my part. I thought that Washington had 3 weeks to prepare for one team only. I thought they outplayed the Giants in the tie. And ultimately, Barkley is just a beast. Barkley is amazing for the Giants. Running backs don't matter, but that dude matters right now, making guys miss.
Finally, Rams, Packers on Monday night. Already talked about it. You and I both had the Packers in a teaser leg down to -1. That, of course, covered easily. For the year or for the week, I was up 10 units. I'm up 37 units for the season. For the week, Steve, you were down 6. You are up 1.5. And our best bets, 60% strike rate, 21-14. Before we move forward to week 16, which just sounds wild, let me make sure all of you, and I'm talking about you, are as healthy as possible. Look, it's not easy to stay healthy. We know that. If you've been listening to me, I've been all congested. Steve has bronchitis. Take Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens has 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens in their AG1. It has definitely helped me with my gut health issues, which I didn't even realize how bad they were until I started taking these. They've got like a zillion 5-star reviews at this point. All you have to do is put 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. Drink the water. They're trying to make it crazy easy. They're giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/money. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/money. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. We move forward, Steve, and we start with Thursday night, where the Jags are getting 1 point right now on the road against the Jets, where we assume it'll be your buddy, Zach Wilson, again.
Yeah, and let me make an emphasis before we go into the card. Getting good numbers is the way to win. Hey, the ticket of the week. Can we see this? That's a Vikings -2 winner from last week. Bet that in September. So we're always trying to get ahead of line moves. It's actually going to be balmy versus the rest of the games in New York. A balmy 50 degrees, but lots of rain. And I can see that's going to stymie the scoring in this game. It's down to 38, the total. It opened 41.5. I'm going to lean under. I missed the best of the numbers. I think the weather is going to cause, and the game plan for the Jets is going to be very conservative. I don't know who's going to win. You know what? Either team in a teaser up to 7.5 if the spread goes to someone favored by 1.5. But for now, I pass.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with taking, if anybody gets to 1.5 up to 7.5. I can only lean Jacksonville right now with the way they're playing. How about the Bills on the road at the Bears? They're laying 9. The total is 40.5.
All right, it's going to be historically cold. Well, maybe not in Chicago, but compared to the rest of the country, temperature's going to be about 1. And there's going to be wind. You have to go under here. I know it didn't work with Buffalo, Miami, because the snowstorm didn't hit during the game, and that game flew over. This one won't fly over. Under 40.5, 2 units.
I got nothing on this game. If anything, I'd probably lean Chicago, getting the 9. I was pretty impressed with them and the way they played against the Eagles. They are playing hard. They are a well-coached team. Justin Fields is incredible. So I would say I have a strong lean to the Chicago Bears in this game. What about the Seahawks at the Chiefs? The total's 48. The Seahawks are getting 9.5.
So I'm going to play a 7-point teaser. We cannot tease down to -3. Never, ever play down to -3. That's a bing bong teaser. That's like recreational. You're not going to win. You got to get it down to -2.5. So you have to use the 7-point option. I need something to pair it with. I will play Baltimore hosting a dome team in cold weather. Baltimore down to -0.5. Kansas City -2.5. The 7-point teaser of the week. And you have to lay -140. That's A-OK. Don't lay more than -140. 2 units.
I'm going to take the Seahawks. That's a lot of points. I mean, the Chiefs haven't played well 2 weeks in a row against the Broncos, against the Texans. I guess those games are on the road, but Geno Smith's been playing well this year. I like the Seahawks getting the 9.5 points for 2 units. What about the Lions and the Panthers? The Lions are laying 2.5. The total's 43.5. I was tempted to do a Wong teaser, Steve, and take Carolina up to 8.5, but I can pretty easily see the Lions potentially winning this one. I didn't like what I saw from Carolina against the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Lions won by 10. I can't do it.
Yeah, bad spot for the Lions. Second straight road game in weather, and they got away with it because Wilson can't play a lick. I would lean to Carolina. I'm fine if you want to use some Carolina teasers. A quick note, Kansas City had to play 3 straight road games, and now they're coming home. So that's a bad spot for Kansas City. That is one concern I have about KC this week. Just a lean to Carolina teasers.
Cincinnati is in New England. The total is 41. Cincinnati is laying 3.5. That number seems a little short to me, Steve.
Yeah, it's interesting because that number seems a little light to me in that I watched the whole Cincinnati-Tampa Bay game. That was not about the Bengals. I get it. The Bengals are awesome, and they're playing great, and they're 11-1 against the spread. But Tampa Bay gave them that game. Tampa Bay won the stats. Tampa Bay turned it over 4 times, seemingly all in the third quarter, and just imploded. I would lean New England, actually, in this game.
Wow, that's interesting. The Bucs, the Patriots, the way those games go, they could use a bunch of Labatt blue lights. There's no better way to wallow in your misery after your team loses than with the pristine Canadian goodness of a cold Labatt blue light in your hand. Obviously, we've talked a lot about when your team wins. How about stocking up, being the MVP of your house, and having a Labatt to share with your family if you or your team or your bets lose? Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. The Houston Texans, holy cow. This is unbelievable, Steve. The Houston Texans are on the road at Tennessee. The total's 37. I wrote down 10 minutes before we started, Houston +7. It's now Houston +5. Did it come out that Tannehill's not playing or something? In 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes, it's gone down 2 full points.
Yeah, it's going to be Willis. And because of that, well, I would still lean Houston +5. I'm worried about Houston, though, back-to-back games as 14 and 18-point dogs that they could have won, had the opportunity, and blew both of them. So how much energy is left? Having said this, Willis is not ready to play quarterback in the NFL, which means they're going to hand off to Derrick Henry 7 zillion times, under 37, 2 units.
So, the total is 37. That's a good point, actually. That's interesting. I'm still going to take Houston for 2 units plus the 5. Man, I wanted the 7 though. That hurts. Plus 5, Houston, 2 units. What about the Giants getting 3.5 points on the road against the Vikings? Totals 47.5.
So statistically, the two teams in the NFL that have been the most fortunate in close games have been the Giants and the Vikings. So now they play each other. We want to bet against both these teams. So one of them's going to look good, hopefully. And whoever does, will bet against them the rest of the year. We'll pass this game.
Yeah, I don't really have much on this game. Normally, I would take the Giants getting the 3.5 and think it's kind of a toss-up game. But coming off a Sunday night, they put so much into that. I just don't know. I can easily see the Vikings winning that one comfortably. So that becomes a stay away for me. We then get to the Saints, who are getting 3 points on the road in Cleveland. The total is 31.5. Steve, I've never seen this before. Is this right? 31.5?
You know, there's actually a college game, a bowl game that's at 31, the Iowa game. So I think a great prop if DraftKings is listening. I want to see who head-to-head matchup, more points, Cleveland, New Orleans, or the Iowa, Kentucky game. It's going to be played on the mistake on the lake, 33-mile-an-hour winds. The winds are going to be stronger than the total, Ross. If ever there's a team that has experience playing in windy conditions, it's the Browns the last couple of years. They're going to hand it off to Chubb over and over and over again. I got a dome team from the South. I could only look to Cleveland, not because of the power ratings, but because of the situation. The Browns stink. 2 units on the Browns because of the winds.
So wait a minute. What, they played in a bunch of win games?
Yeah, no team is over the last couple of years. This just in, the weather stinks in Cleveland. There has been so many bad weather, windy games in Cleveland. It's just amazing the last few years.
Oh, that is amazing. I think I remember 1 or 2, but I didn't know it was that pronounced. I don't have anything on that game. Some of these things like the total, like I knew it was going to be cold. I didn't see that on the wind yet. What about, Steve, the Falcons and the Ravens? The Falcons are catching 7.5 on the road in Baltimore. Totals 37.5.
Yeah, so this was my play already. 2 units, Kansas City, Baltimore, 7-point teaser, 2 units.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens in a teaser as well, down to -1.5. They can't lose this game. They're not going to lose this game to Desmond Ridder. And I'm going to pair them actually with the Niners. The Niners are laying 7 against the Commanders. I take the Niners down to -1. I'd be surprised if they lost the football game. So for me, it's the Ravens and the Niners, 2 units, 2-team teaser. That's the next game, actually. The Niners laying 7 against the Commanders, totals 39.
So I share your enthusiasm for the teaser with San Francisco. I'm going to play a 6.5-point teaser. I'm going to take San Francisco down. I'm going to pair them with the Denver Broncos, +1 on Sunday, Christmas Day, up to +7.5. Again, I can't tease to +7. I have to go all the way through the 3 to 7 corridor. I have to get the Broncos up to 7.5, not 7. So I play a 6.5-point teaser paired with San Francisco.
Next up, we've got the Eagles and the Cowboys. The total's 46. It looks like it'll be Minshew and not Hurts for the Eagles. It was Philadelphia +6. Now it's back down to Philadelphia +5.5.
So you always hear about, well, Vegas knows. Vegas knows what's going on with their point spread. Ross, pulling back the curtain, Vegas has no idea what they're doing. The bettors know. And the bettors pounded Dallas because Vegas didn't know and took Dallas -1, -2, -3, and -4. And then the news broke, of course, that with the shoulder injury for Hurts, which may be more serious than anyone is letting on. We'll see. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to say he's got anything like a broken collarbone. I'm not saying that. Minshew's a good backup quarterback, though. It's only a 4-point differential, and this line has moved 5 points now. So we're getting a little interested in the Eagles, but here's my concern. Given that Hurts isn't playing, this might be the case where the Eagles' magic number is 1 to clinch home field throughout the playoffs. 1 win or 1 loss by the Vikings, and the Vikings are god-awful. They'll lose more than 1 by themselves. The Eagles might use this spot to rest some other guys who are banged up, so I'm going to pass the game.
I'm taking the Eagles. Yeah, I think that I think they're going to play well. I think Minshew's going to play well. I think they're going to play to win. And I'll take the Eagles getting the 5.5 points for 2 units. I cannot believe we record this at 10:30 Eastern. I can't believe I've already lost 2.5 points on some of my bets in like 20 minutes. This is unreal. How about the game I'm calling Christmas Eve night, Saturday night, Steve? It's the Raiders at the Steelers. The total's 38.5. I know it's going to be cold because I checked the weather on this one. Negative wind chills. And the Raiders are getting 2.5 points right now.
So I will make the case it's a really bad spot for the Raiders. I got a team in the Southwest. Yes, it's been kind of cold in Vegas. It hasn't been 15 degrees cold with a negative wind chill. Steelers playing very well. Steelers play much better at home, as you know, Ross. And the Raiders get a phony, fortunate win in a pick'em type of game. Pittsburgh's going to win this game. Let's lay the 2.5 right now, 2 units.
I'm taking the Raiders in a teaser up to 8.5. I think this will be a close game. I just don't think the Steelers can really blow out anybody. Raiders up to 8.5. I was going to pair them, Steve, with the Rams from 1.5 to 7.5. Somehow now the Rams are favored by 1. Why did that line change 2.5 points, Steve? What is going on?
You know, there's not much of a difference, -1 versus +1. It doesn't take much money to move through the pick because obviously it's not going to land on a tie. But pulling back the curtain again, pro bettors pay a lot of attention to these games because it makes all the difference in the world. You can't tease a -1, but you can tease a +1. So keep an eye on that. It wouldn't surprise me if that game didn't flip-flop several times at different books in terms of who's the favorite. And as soon as you see a +1, now it's go time on the 6.5 or 7-point teaser.
Yeah, so I'm going to end up pairing the Raiders now up to +8.5 with the Bucks. The Bucks are laying 6.5 on the road Sunday night against the Cardinals. I don't know if Colt McCoy is coming back from this concussion or not. Did not think McSorley looked very good at all, and I like him as a kid, but you said it about the Bucks. It was all turnovers. They're going to win 2 units. Raiders up to 8.5. Bucks down to -0.5 point. Now we get to Christmas on Sunday, and Christmas should be full of awesome gifts and everything. Forget about the high prices and endless contracts. Sling is your most valuable option when it comes to finding your favorite channels with the best deal for sports, news, entertainment. They have the best live TV content all in one place at the lowest price. And now you can follow all the action on one screen. Watch every touchdown live every Sunday afternoon with NFL Red Zone on Sling. Limited time. Get Sling Blue, add on Sports Extra with NFL Red Zone for half off your first month. So it's regular $46, now only $23. So you get the best deal on Red Zone, so you can catch all the touchdowns at the lowest price with Sling TV. Visit sling.com/DraftKings to sign up today. All right, Steve, a couple more games here. We got the Packers catching 5.5 against the Dolphins on Christmas Day. Good game, 48.
It's my turn to miss out on the best number. I like the over. I just bet over 46.5, and now it is at 48. I got to tell you, 47 and 48 are both key numbers. Just a strong lean over the 48.
Can only lean Packers here. I think there's a chance they make the playoff. I think they're looking pretty good on offense, defensively. Just a lean to the Packers here for me. Broncos, Rams, we both already talked about. Broncos are now getting a point. You teased them up to 7.5. The total is only 35. 35, Steve. Anything else on this game?
The lower the total, the better the teaser. So it makes the teaser even stronger. I like either team teased up to plus 7.5.
Bucks, Cardinals. I already teased the Bucks from minus 6.5 to minus half a point. The total is 41.
Just a quick, if I don't mention it, I'm going to get creamed on the internet. I don't like your teaser, and here's why. Because at some books right now, you can play Tampa Bay on the money line. I see as low as minus 240, but there's minus 250s that are certainly out there. And just the way
minus
that the math works,
minus 275 at DraftKings.
Right. So DraftKings, it's fine if you only have a book at DraftKings. But if you shopped around, I don't like teasing 6.5 point favorites, because essentially what you're doing is playing the Bucks on the money line with that teaser leg. And the way the math works out, it's just superior if you shop around and get a cheaper money line to just play the Bucks on the money line.
Got it. Thank you. Anything else on this game?
Nothing.
Chargers are laying 4 on the road against the Colts. Totals 46.5.
I've got a really, really sharp guy that loves the Chargers here, laid 3 with the Chargers. And again, I know it's like Tuesday and the week's just starting, but the window of opportunity is gone. I hate laying 4, Ross. I hate it, because so often you can be up 10 and you still only win by 3. I'll just lean to the Chargers. I think the Colts are donezo after that historic collapse in the second half.
I could only lean Indy here because it just feels like these are the type of games that the Chargers somehow lose over the years, but it is just a lean to Indy for me. That'll do it for an awesome Even Money podcast. Steve is back. Let's have an awesome week. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, The Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and The College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.